Hello and welcome to another episode of Sports Entertainment Weekly, your home for catching up with all the action in the world of cricket, football, and world wrestling entertainment. But we have very little to talk about in WWE this week, so we will start with cricket. We have Dave and Kriska. Hi, Dave. Hi, Kriska. You can just wave,
Hey
guys. That's all.
Kandal, hey
Yeah.
Kandal.
All right.
A lot of
So
lot of things to talk about in cricket and football
Absolutely.
this
After the
week.
action-packed week that we have had with the IPL mini auctions and some more happenings in Test match cricket, which we will start with. So the Indian women's cricket team is about to beat Australia in their first ever Test match, in pursuit of their first ever Test match win. It's going to be historic. I feel that they have a lot of issues in terms of consistency in the Australian batting lineup, especially with Meg Lanning going off, with Alisa Healy captaining. There's a lot of newness to the Australian side, despite the fact that they've all had players who have played a lot before. There is a new kind of setup and chemistry building along, so which is clearly showing up. But having said that, Indian women have outplayed Australia women in this Test match, as far as I've followed. Um, I think when it started out, the first innings was not really great for Australia, other than Talia McGrath, who was shining in both innings. We didn't have clear standout performances from any of the Australian batters. And bowling was okayish, but the two Indian openers were really good for the Australian bowling lineup, especially in home conditions. I need to call that out because it was a very good wicket where it started turning really well from day two onwards. Ash Gardner was the standout Australian bowler, and similarly, for India, it's been Indian spinners throughout. You name them, they really bowled well. And in the middle order, the key difference for the Indian team, the key difference that's separated both teams has been Jemima Rodriguez. I'm a big fan of Jemima Rodriguez. All the enthusiasm that she has on the field, she's almost like a nice, smiling, nice person version of Virat Kohli on the field. So she's got the aggression, but in a very different kind. She's got her presence throughout on the ground. So yeah, so amazing victory
I would
coming up
like
from India.
to
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to actually point out India's fielding in this test match. Some incredible runouts, very aware runouts, especially in the second innings. I think they got Beth Mooney out when she had
Yeah.
just gone out of her crease, and there was a very intelligent run out there. So Indian fielding has improved by leaps and bounds as well, and that is great to see. It is going to be historic. The win, which will happen hopefully in the next hour or so.
All right, great. Then we move on to the next part, which is key part, what we will discuss in cricket today, the IPL mini auctions. A lot of money riding on many players, or rather, I should say, a lot of money riding on a few players, especially the foreign players who were up for auctions this time around. Let's move on to the top buys that we have, and we will start with Mitch Stark. Pat Cummins next with 20.5 crores. Mitch Stark came in at 24.75. Um, Chris, what are your first thoughts?
Well, first thoughts, some things don't change. Like me having my mug here on the live call, that annoys. And I also have one more comment. You wanted me to wave in the beginning. I was waiting until we actually got to the option part so I can wave both you and goodbye for RCB and the IPL title this time around as well.
All right. So, Mitch Stark to KKR, given the fact that he has not played any IPL at all, other than the initial seasons for RCB. We spoke of RCB, and then Mitch Stark is an RCB alumnus, by the way, Kriska. So, other than that, he hasn't really played much of IPL. He has always prioritized Test cricket and playing international cricket for Australia, um, especially the Ashes. Always preparing for the Ashes, always preparing for international summer. What's your take, Dave and Chris, on KKR investing so much in Midstock? What's the likelihood of him
I
actually playing this time around?
See, unless they had the guarantees from the player that he is going to play at least a majority of IPL, I don't think they would have invested 24.75 crores on Mitch Stark. I think the reason why the price went this high is because of the rule change which IPL brought in just recently, allowing pacers to ball up to two bouncers in an over, two head high bouncers in an over, whereas in international cricket it's one bouncer, then the next one they call it a wide, right? IPL has gone with that very interesting rule change to make that battle between bat and ball a little more fair. And Mitch Stark, with his pace and with his accurate bouncers, can be very effective. So I think that is a major reason why the price went as high as it did, and why these many teams were desperate to get a pacer of the caliber of Mitch Stark. So unless it's going to be a challenge for Mitch Stark, though, a lot of the games are going to be played in Eden Gardens, and Eden Gardens is not an easy place to bowl in, considering how small the pitch is.
I think but I disagree with you on one point slightly, where Mitch Stark, he's really an all-round bowler, but I feel he's more of a good length and a Yorker bowler, and KKR might prefer him at the
Exactly.
death than bowling bouncers. He can obviously bowl bouncers, but he's not
That's
really
what
good at it. Yeah, go for it, Chris.
That's what I was thinking as well. I think Dave is reading a little too much into the bouncer rule. I'm not even sure if the timelines are right, whether the rule change happened first or the auctions happened first. I think
Rule
this
change
has
happened
a
first, I can
lot more
guarantee
to
you
do
that.
with. I think this has a lot to do with how Australia fared in the tournament, in which their bowlers led them to a 50 over World Cup victory, which is very rare given Australia's style. And both Mitchell Stark and Pat Cummins really showing up to the occasion. Right? That said, I feel not just Mitchell Stark, if you look at any of the five names there, they've all been massively overvalued by the franchises. There were actually a lot better picks. So alternatives with lot more potential, lot more years ahead of them compared to a lot of folks you see here who are 30 and over. Uh, I honestly did not understand the buys from the supposed top picks throughout the
See, I
options.
will
So
disagree here with
that's
Chris a
including
bit.
our Australia favorites.
See, I'll disagree with Chris here a little bit. I think Pat Cummins is well worth his weight in gold. You do not get an lower order pinch hitter along with a frontline pace bowler, along with a captain in one player these days. Okay, it's a very rare combination. He has just won the World Cup. He is on. I think he has the Midas touch at the moment. Everything he touches turns to gold. It has been happening for the past 1 year for Pat Cummins, and Sunrisers are in an interesting position. They need that sort of a player, that sort of an anchor, the sort of player David Warner was for them, that sort of a captain and a character to push them to a knockouts phase, to the playoffs phase, or to a final, which they haven't gone to so far after that one great season with David Warner. So Pat Cummins was a statement buy for Sunrisers. Otherwise, he would have gone to an CSK or something like that. That was a statement buy, and they had to make that buy, I would say. And
Yeah.
Pat Cummins is worth it, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah, I'm with Dave on this one. Like Pat Cummins' buy, it might seem overpriced if you just look at purely the numbers and statistics of Pat Cummins as an international T20 bowler or white ball bowler rather. But this is not a buy which is because of a World Cup hangover. This is like Dave called out. It's because they wanted a leader for this team, and to me, he comes across very close to like the Imran Khan of this generation. Like it's hard to really find a really good fast bowler, a really good batter down the order, and a captain, a leader, an inspirational leader at that. He's not like the the hard talking, uh, the kind of leader that Imran Khan was. He's probably much more diplomatic, much more. He's a good mix between the nice guy New Zealander, captains, and then you have someone like Imran Khan or Ian Botham or even Alan Border, the grumpiness of Alan Border. So he's a good mix of all of them, and I think Sunrisers need someone like that in the team to lead the others. Hyderabad has always had a good batting lineup. Regardless of that, they have failed to really stand out in most IPL seasons because they always missed a good leader. And when it happened a couple of times with David Warner, they really performed well. And David Warner is, he's someone who's actually capable of rallying the team around. And I think Pat Cummins will fit in that bill. And I'm coming back to the point, Dave, you made about the two bouncer rule. And I'm going to just quickly check with you. Did that play in the mind of RCB when they went for Alzari Joseph at 11.5 crores? Because he's someone who's capable of hitting the deck hard, going in for those bouncers, slower bouncers, call it, variations. He's someone from the mold of, let's say, Jofra Archer. He's no Jofra Archer yet in
Yeah.
terms of his international cricket statistics yet, but then he's someone who is a similar type of bowler, I would say, like Jason Holder or Alzari Joseph or Jofra Archer, who hits the deck hard and the ball carries onto the shoulder of the batter.
It's not the only hit the deck hard bowler they got, Alzari Joseph. They got Loki Ferguson as well. But
Yeah.
interestingly, I am not exactly sure what was going on through the minds of RCB team camp, considering their uh, pre-auction work which they did, where they essentially fired their entire bowling lineup, and during the auction, the strategy they went with. Considering that, Alzari is a good buy, but maybe not for 11.7 crores. Like, there are certain bowlers, even in that list, I did not really understand their price tag or their worth. Like, Harshal Patel is neither a hit the deck hard bowler nor a good Yorker bowler, and he went for 11 crores. Why? I do not understand. Like, that is a proper scam, I would say. That is like, the team PBKS got scammed hard
Yeah,
with
no,
that
absolutely. I think speaking
deal.
of that, we'll move on to the next slide, which shows us who are the biggest buys for each team, right? Like, and it's really surprising and shocking to see someone like Harshal Patel, who did perform in one season really well with his variations, slow balls towards the death, and his really unique bowling action, where kind of a wrong-footed action. But I think post that there was no surprise to the batters. I mean, people have figured him out. They are now taking him to the cleaners. He's going for runs towards the death overs, power play, whatever it is. So Punjab Kings, I think they don't have a think tank at this point, is what is my opinion. They're just sitting there in the auctions. Sorry, I'm being harsh on them, but I feel that they're just journeying along like Punjab Kings. And there's one more team which I always felt that they have been journeying along. It's not in here, but then Punjab Kings is probably the flag bearer of that. Like, they don't have any strategy when they are actually going for players. They're just ticking along. And the other major thing that caught my eye in this is Chennai Super Kings going in for Samir Rizvi, who is inexperienced, uncapped youngster batter from UP who's 20, 21 years old. Have you seen him bat, Dave, Chris?
No, but considering CSK think tank and CSK scouting, if they have put a price tag of 8 crores on Samir Rizvi, I think he would turn out to be well worth it, because it's CSK. If CSK is buying a player, I trust CSK more than any other team in that way.
Yeah. My input there is CSK were able to do that because nobody thought they were going to steal home Rachin Ravindra for 1.8 crores or something. I think they would have definitely set aside at least 10 crores for the kind of season that Rachin had in the World Cup. He's young, he's a lefty, and he is that phase where he doesn't care about the reputation of a bowler, right? He'll take any bowler to the cleaners. He's not afraid to take on people. Almost like a Matthew Hayden like profile in the opening slot CSK used to have all those years ago. So I think that they got Rachin for so cheap, allowed them to go after both Daryl Mitchell, who's effectively their Moeen Ali replacement, and Samir
But
Rizvi, who's the
Chris,
straight
Chris,
leg
sorry for
spin
jumping
king.
in
Yeah.
there. Sorry for jumping in there. But will he ever play? Will Rachin Ravindra be featuring in any playing 11 for Chennai Super Kings? It's shouldn't that be the question? Because you have Devon Conway, who's opening the batting for them. Then you have
Conway.
Daryl Mitchell, two overseas slots already filled. Then you will have who else is there in CSK in the overseas slot? You have I think in the bowling lineup you'll definitely have one there. Um, so where does Rachin Ravindra
Prathirana.
really fit
You're
in?
thinking of Prathirana.
Yeah,
Prathirana
yeah,
will
yeah,
get,
exactly. There is Patirana from Sri Lanka.
and Thikshana is probably there as well.
Tikshana is
Sri
definitely
Lanka.
going to be in the playing 11 with Chennai favoring spin a lot. So, do you think Rachin Ravindra even might even get a chance to play in the 11?
I think it's very obvious that Ravindra is a backup by and one for the future, right? So between him and Mitchell, I see Daryl Mitchell featuring more heavily given Moeen Ali's um, age, or I don't even know if Moeen Ali is playing this season. If at all, it is probably his last season. But imagine if one of them at the top gets injured, Rachin is gonna seamlessly slot it. But I don't think he's gonna come in and just walk into the playing 11 regardless of the World Cup he had. That's something that Dhoni is known for. So it doesn't matter who you have in the squad. We saw this happen with
Just to jump in here a
even
little bit.
like
Just to jump in here a little bit, it's interesting the way Chris said the mentality worked for CSK in the sense that they must have set aside a good sum of money for Rachin Ravindra, but Rachin Ravindra went for cheap, so they went for their other targets. They were able to really push for their other targets. I think similar sort of situation happened with SRH, which I'm pretty sure they must have set aside around 10 crores or to 15 crores for Travis Head, but they ended up getting him for like 3 crores or 4 crores, which is dirt cheap considering
Yeah,
the sort of
Travis had came in
season
around
Travis had had.
6 crores. Yeah, he came in around 6 crores, which is actually cheap for a
It's
player
dirt
who.
cheap.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's steal by, especially for someone who's performed well in the World Cup in the semi-final and the finals. These are the
Yeah,
crunch games that anyone would expect you to perform, and I think
you
SRH
have
is
a
trying to.
you get a proper big game player for
Yeah,
5 or
yeah,
6 crores.
and
That's why they
not
were
just
able to push
game,
for 20 crores for Pat Cummins.
Pat Cummins. Yeah.
It's
Now that you bring that
it's
up,
very
I kind
simple.
of agree. I also agree with your previous statement that Cummins was more statement buy, and I always felt Cummins was more like a 12 to 15 crore player. The fact that they were able to save up on Travis and allowed them to go for it and reach that.
absolutely. So
But
moving on, we'll
interesting,
go
you
to
brought up the unsold.
yeah, so I want to just quickly talk about the unsold ones. We'll start with Steve Smith. I know it's not in the first choice, not the first choice pick for any 2020 side, but personally, I hold this view that someone like Pat Cummins, they say that he's not a white ball bowler. Similarly, they hold the same view about Steve Smith, saying he's not a 2020 batter. He's not a good choice for short formats and things like that. But the amount of value that players like these bring, like someone like Pat Cummins, someone like Steve Smith, they can be an asset to any team in any 11. Steve Smith, especially in certain trying conditions, when the rest of the team would fold, he can give you that respectable total. And Steve Smith is an asset in the outfield in any white ball setup.
Gandalf, I actually disagree with you here. Mostly because you try to make it sound like Steve Smith is a
We are losing you,
So
Chris.
I
I
have
think,
a I
yeah.
have a I have a
The case, but
disagreement
still
with
some
Khandalf as well.
contribution that Pat might work.
But Chris, go ahead. If you go ahead,
Yeah,
otherwise I will jump in.
sure. So the kind of contribution that Pat Cummins has made in white ball cricket paid in
Yeah,
comparison,
I
right? And he's a very limited player, so you can only bat him at number four. You know, when your team is two down, kind of like a Badrinath type of player for CSK back in the day, who was extremely valuable. But
Yeah, I think I
yeah,
get your point, Chris. What you're
I
trying
I
to
because
say
just
is
CSK
that,
come in and save the day when you're in trouble.
okay, Chris, why, just hold on. Why
I'll
don't you just quickly log off and log in? I think you're having connectivity
I'll
issues.
just I'll just
Dave,
add
yeah,
on to
in the
what
meantime.
Chris has said. Steve Smith was there in Rajasthan last season, and when you have a player, just a batter who comes in the middle order, plays a few knocks, not exactly a hitter either, not someone who can push the run rate very fast, needs time to settle in. So you end up being in a situation where you have to choose. Are you going to pick someone like say a Rovman Powell or a lower order pinch hitter as your overseas player, or will you go with Steve Smith? I would go with the pinch hitter in
I,
a
I
IPL
agree there.
T20 format.
I agree there. Yeah, I agree there, especially in the context of the IPL.
Yeah,
Steve Smith, when I spoke of Steve Smith highly in the 2020 setup, I was speaking more in the context of Australian international cricket team. And I think Steve Smith will definitely feature in the 2020 World Cup that's coming up. What I was probably talking about is in the context of IPL, I do agree with both of you that Steve Smith may not really fit in the scheme of things, especially when you have limited overseas slots in each playing 11. You do not want to choose between a Steve Smith and a Roman Powell. You'll always go for a Roman Paul.
yeah,
You're very right there, Dave. So I get you, and we will look at the other unsold players there. What surprised me was the last name in this list, which is Phil Salt, who played a season, I think, or two with Delhi Capitals. He has gone unsold this time around. Um, he has really performed well. I think two international T20 hundreds in the last series with West Indies, which just got over, I guess. And even in the last year, he has really played well in the 2020 setup, and also in the 100 in the last season in England. So I think Phil Salt probably might have been thought for many teams who are looking for an opener spot to come in,
yeah,
but I don't know why he really went unsold there. But yeah, happens
Not
to
to
the best of
mention
us.
a wicket keeper.
Yeah,
yeah. I'm actually surprised that Rassi Vanderson went unsold along with can you go back to that slide, please, Khandalf? Yeah, Rassi
Josh
Vanderson and
Hazelwood.
English. I
yeah.
more than Hazelwood, I would go for English because they have had really good seasons coming in. But I think a lot depends on the base price. When you put a base price of 2 crores, I think that puts off a lot of teams in the later rounds of the auction. Like Mohammad Nabi got picked up by some team in the last round of auction for his base price, but because his base price was cheaper. Simply that.
Yeah.
2 crores can put off certain teams going for a good
When
overseas hand in the later rounds of the auction, I would say.
Yeah, and I think Josh Hazelwood, there is a reason
when
why he is not picked by teams. He's expecting his child sometime during the IPL, the start of the IPL season. So he is expected to miss a lot of IPL games, and my guess is that that's the reason RCB also did not retain him, let him go, and other teams also did not vie for him. Of course, he's the standout star in terms of the bowling lineup of the Australian One Day World Cup winning team, if you ask me. Other than Adam Zampa, who was clearly in the wickets. I think Josh Hazelwood's bowling was the standout. Mitch Stark bowled well only in the last few games, but then Josh Hazelwood was good throughout. And he has always been good in India and in the IPL for Chennai Super Kings when he played, and for RCB as well. So I think that's not a miss. I think it's due to personal commitments that probably teams took a call on that. I was surprised, like Dave and Chris, you said, Rassi Vander Dussen and Josh Inglis. recent form in India. They should have been picked, but I think limited overseas slots, teams always go for who's one up. Yeah. All right. So we move to quickly the each of the teams quickly to see what worked for them and what didn't work for them. We'll start with Chennai Super Kings. Already we discussed about Samir Rizvi. I think Rachin Ravindra as well. We discussed Daryl Mitchell. I think was the greatest buy here for them, the most expensive one as well. He will straight away walk into the middle order.
Yeah, no doubt. Because Daryl Mitchell is that sort of a player who can go from ball one, I would say. And they need, so CSK need that. They need a middle order pinch hitter to come in and like either finish off games or push that run rate to from 8 runs over to 12 runs and over. So Daryl Mitchell is the perfect player for that, I would say.
Does Mustafizur Rahman make sense in this setup? I know CSK is a team of 35-year-olds, but uh,
Mustafizur Rahman makes sense is in a CSK Chennai condition, I would say. He is not exactly a very pacey bowler. I mean, he has pace, but he's not your express 145 bowler. He's very wily, that sort of comes in with a lot of variations, lot of cutters. That works perfectly in Chennai pitches, I would say. So from that perspective, he's a perfect buy for CSK.
Chris, our resident CSK fan, what do you think?
I think I couldn't have been happier with Chennai's option strategy. Historically, Chennai has never had the best squad on paper. There is only so much you can do with the aura of a strawberry farmer. And the fact that this time around CSK has actually proactively gone out to strengthen the team, uh, wherein on paper, next to Mumbai Indians, CSK squad looks the most complete to me, which is like unfamiliar territory, honestly. And to particularly answer about Mustafizur Rahman, personally, I've been a huge fan of the guy since he broke out in the scene 5 years ago. And I don't remember which season it was when he went unsold for the first time. I was quite surprised because, like Dave said, he's one of those very intelligent bowlers. So he was basically Harshal Patel before Harshal Patel's time. And the fact that he's a left armer he also bodes really well because you don't have a lot of top quality left arm pacers who can hit your 140s. Similar to the role that David Willey does for CSK, that sorry, not CSK, England, that CSK were able to get him and Ravindra as backups to their star players in the 11. So I'd assume Mustafizur to come in place of Patirana if and when needed. That they were able to get two really good talents, one probably world class for under 3.5 crores is just insane. So couldn't be happier with the strategy. Now, well, it's time for the farmer to do what he does best.
CSK doing good business in an auction. Name me a more surprising. It's the most
But
obvious thing in the world to for
but
CSK to do
do
good
we
business
do
in
we
an
have a
auction.
winning combination? Is the question, right? I mean, I still feel that they have some pieces missing, especially with regard to the batting. Not really convinced whether Devon Conway and these guys make sense at the top of the order. I do think Daryl Mitchell is going to be really consistent throughout the tournament. I had doubts about Conway given his recent form and his ability to play in big matches. Um, they don't have someone like, let's say, they are missing match winners, to so to speak. I know, unless someone like Rachin Ravindra plays and unless someone like Rinku Singh plays and down the order, I don't think they have the firepower in the bottom. Let's say they have like 2 overs and 30 runs to get in a chase. I think that they might actually struggle with even Dhoni being
And
past his
also,
prime.
I have to step in and remind you that CSK won the World Cup. Oh, sorry, not the World Cup. It's my yellow colors. Getting me confused. Won the IPL, and The only thing more wrong than you in this call is RCB's auction strategy. That is the only comparison I can make because you made like two, three horrible
I'm not
takes.
saying auction strategy for
One round
CSK
of
is wrong. I'm not saying CSK went wrong with the auctions.
yeah,
CSK
yeah, I get
were
it.
really
So
bang on with the auctions. All I'm calling out
no,
is
yeah,
this the team that
CSK.
will win the IPL?
This is
See,
the
they still
team
have
that
a
won the
Dhoni.
IPL as recent as 12 months back. On top of it, they have managed to bring in world class players, both with potential, players who are already readily world class. So I think at this point,
Yeah,
it's just you and RCB fan trying to cope that CSK did not do well, trying to gaslight yourself and us in the process of your delusion, not able to make peace with the fact that RCB is already out of the tournament before a ball has even been bowled. So we are very happy
Look,
with the strategy.
make no
And
mistake.
if it will make you happy, if it will make you happy that CSK has missing pieces, that we don't have Lord Vinku Singh in our lineup, not to forget that we still have Lord Shardul Thakur, the OG Lord. If that is what it takes for you to go, I say go for it.
I think, see, I mean, I don't have any doubts about whether CSK will manage to pull off a win. That they can. They can win with even teams which are probably not so strong. And Dhoni has this typical man management skills that he can actually pull off anything with anyone. But what I'm seeing is that other teams that are pretty much more complete from a purely paper point of view, like Mohammad Kaif might call it, on paper, on paper, which is the most complete team. I would say it's not CSK. On field, maybe they may have an Australia moment with winning those big moments and then win the IPL in the end. And as an RCB fan, I'm telling you right now that I don't have any expectations this time around with the RCB lineup. I expect the batters to shine, but we are going in for a lot of runs. It's going to be a run
Kandal.
fest. Yeah, go
Kandal.
for it.
You should not call it expectation. You should call it delusion. You are under no delusion that RCB will win the IPL.
Yeah, I mean every year we go in with this huge war cry that Isala Kappu Namade, but I don't think this is that year where even the ardent
I think
most.
RCB is not gonna make it to top four. You heard it here first. And Harshal
Yeah,
Patel is
absolutely.
gonna shine. And
Speaking of top four,
CSK will
the
finish
other.
in top two.
Yeah, CSK might finish in top two definitely. We speaking of top two, top four. I think we have Kolkata squad, or rather, this is the list of players that actually went in during the auctions for Kolkata. This to me looks like a very strong team on paper. So they have pretty much most bases covered, especially with their spin department. You have Sunil Narayan, you have Chakrabarti, Varun Chakrabarti. You have then Mujib Rahman, who's also come in now, mid start to bolster the left arm fast bowling department. And as you call it, it's a gamble that they bought mid Stark. Mid Stark hasn't played IPL in a long time, but the World Cup hangover, of course, and the left arm fast bowler for Kolkata there to fill that slot. So what's your take? I also don't think that Gus Atkinson from England is also a bad buy. It's definitely a good buy there as far as the bowling department is concerned.
Everyone is sleeping on Chetan Sakaria, I would say.
Yeah,
Chetan Sakaria is a very smart buy for
the
50
dark horse.
lakh.
Yeah,
Yeah. He had a very good season. I do not know why he did not play last season. He was in the squad for one of the teams, but he barely played. But I expect him to do very well for KKR when he gets the chance. Mujib Rahman is a good buy as well. I don't particularly see any bad buys here. Like
yeah.
someone I can point out and say that, oh, KKR got scammed.
They're all very safe and they haven't spent a lot except for Mitchell Stark as well. Mujib Rahman at his
Yeah.
base price is definitely a top five steal if you look at the rule of options. I think with that we can go on to what we can all agree is the most complete squad, uh, and nobody is really surprised. Mumbai
Are you
Indians
talking
in
about
the test
RCB?
market.
Sorry, are you talking
No
about
one is
RCB?
talking about his RCB. Except in memes. There have been a lot of memes about RCB after the auction.
I don't know what in their right mind, who in their right mind would actually go for the kind of picks that they actually went for. But let's take a look at Mumbai. I think they did well in the auctions, decent ones. Uh, they were playing for fun, I guess. They already got what they want with Gerald Coetzee. They got what they wanted with Hardik Pandya. Speaking of Hardik Pandya, news is very rife that he is not fully fit and might miss IPL 2024, but it's not fully confirmed whether he would miss it, but expected to.
Yeah, the only thing that will stop Mumbai is Mumbai itself, I feel. Like, imagine after all this drama about who will be the captain, you kick out your established captain for this player who had gone to another team and is coming back. Now, if Hardik Pandya does not play, they have to approach Rohit Sharma again to captain the team, and that's
Yeah,
going to be a bit of an embarrassment for Mumbai, I would say.
I totally agree with Dave. I do not understand what MI were thinking. You have Rohit Sharma already in his prime, and he had possibly the best World Cup campaign for a captain without the World Cup trophy to their name. That was very unfortunate. All you had to do was literally just wait a year. Let the man leave on his own terms. He has more than earned it for being the most successful captain in IPL. Then you completely mess that up. You try to do this whole fairy tale homecoming, which could have easily waited another year. There was no rush for Mumbai to do what they did, and you have a dressing room that is probably split into. Um, I don't. Yeah, I think at this point Mumbai is just tired of doing things on the pitch. They just want to win the drama contest as well. Otherwise, this
They seem like
approach
they
doesn't
seem more
make any
like
sense.
they seem more like the Pakistan international team setup before a major tournament. They do all
They
these
want
kinds of
Absolutely.
mismatch with players.
Uh,
they just pick the
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
captain
they
out,
so
put
bored.
a new coach in. Do all the sorts of nonsense before a major tournament. That's what
Rich
the
kids, I
Pakistan
tell
international.
you.
Yeah.
see they are going full Bollywood route. They're like, we are going to embrace our roots. We are going to add more drama. We are going to go full Bollywood. We are going to have family feud. That's what they're going for.
Absolutely. I think, totally unnecessary is what I would think. Agreeing with Kriska there. Like, absolutely. I mean, unless they are really bored of winning or bored of making it to the playoffs each time, want to spice up things, why would you do that? Like, a settled team looking good. You take off Cameron Green and put in Hardik Pandya. Yeah, made sense. Make Hardik Pandya captain instead of Rohit Sharma. Okay. Then you actually make all these sorts of drama around
That's where
it.
people would say.
Yeah, there is a lot of accusation of transactions happening unofficially between these players and the management. So absolutely unnecessary, which brings down the
The
credibility
only
of the IPL and the ownership.
Absolutely. The only possible explanation is Amazon Prime has secured a deal with Mumbai Indians for a series similar to the test with Australia, and they absolutely needed this to pump up their ratings. I think
Yeah.
with that we have said enough about Mumbai Indians. Let them
Yeah,
convince otherwise. I still think their squad is way too good for them to not make it to the playoffs. The whole charade is
Yeah, they're
just
going to make it to the
unnecessary.
playoffs, man. Like they actually have,
they
they've got
should. They
decent
have a
guys in
decent
the,
team. Yeah.
yeah.
Unless they actually behave like Pakistan international cricket team, taking things off field onto the field as well, I think Mumbai should easily make it to the playoffs. Yeah, like reminds me of the Wasim Akram and Wakar Yunis captaincy days when there used to be two teams playing in one team. Um, So now we have Delhi Capitals who are looking pretty decent. They have the best of legends in their think tank with Ricky Ponting and Saurav Ganguly. Uh, I am more surprised by how they have stuck together for so long than any of their auction buys. Ponting and Ganguly being very, very hard firebrand cricketers in their playing days and also after it. They have really put their heads together to get this set of buys that we have. Harry Brook, I feel, is the original poster boy of baseball. He has performed well in the PSL and probably came into the limelight because of the PSL. So I think he's a good buy. I'm not sure how he would fare in India. Of course, he did a little bit last time around, but I think this time we need to wait and watch how he performs for Delhi Capitals. The second major one is Shea Hope. What are your thoughts about these two players, guys?
Shea
I
Hope is
haven't
a
seen
great
much of
buy.
Snare.
I have seen Shea Hope in the sense that West Indies team is currently a very depressing team, and their one ray of sunlight is Shea Hope. He is
Very quite
I think
literally,
Bro, you
he's the hope.
yeah, he is the hope of the West Indian team almost. He is more consistent than most of their batsmen, and he's a good hand behind the sticks
hey,
as
but
well.
that's not
So
really saying a lot. More consistent than most of their batters is like saying more economical than other RCB bowlers. What are we supposed to make out of that?
true, true, true,
Glenn
true. But
Maxwell is
Shea
going
Hope
to
is
be
a
the trump card in terms of the bowling department for RCB this time. We are banking on Glenn Maxwell's off spinners, or
And
rather,
Virat Kohli from the other end.
yeah, and Virat Kohli with his dibbly dobblers from the other end. I think we are going to cover the major part of the middle overs for RCB.
See, the good news is any bowler is gonna get whacked in Chinnaswamy. Might as well let the part timers do their thing and play the game. That's what you get from bowlers like Maxwell and Kohli.
I am actually surprised that Harry Brook went for 4 crores. He had a very disappointing season with SRH last season, and like
Yeah,
apart from 100, and
yeah,
even in the World Cup, he didn't exactly set the world on fire.
yeah.
He has had a pretty meh season overall speaking, and he still went for 4 crores. That just shows that he has the talent and people recognize the talent, but I'm not exactly sure that if he'll be able to convert it in Indian conditions. So that is brave from Delhi. I know that they required batsmen,
Yeah,
that's why they went
I
for
think he's
Harry Brook.
definitely Ricky Ponting pick. It's
Yeah.
definitely someone like Phil Salt also in the last season for Delhi Capitals. These are like typically Ponting kind of players who who really go for it, and I think baseball really works with someone like Ponting, and Ganguly also probably might tend to agree in that kind of a
Yeah,
management.
I also think we shouldn't read too much into Harry Brook's season with Sunrisers. Sunrisers stayed in the previous IPL, all the drama that they did with David Warner. I don't think that environment was really right for any of their players. And Harry Brook is somebody who has always been nurtured or hyped up by the English think tank. And he's somebody who thrives in that kind of an environment. And Delhi is definitely going to be a much better place for him to show what he can.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of Sunrisers, we quickly jump into Sunrisers and Travis Head, who has come in at like 6.8 crores, which is quite a steal, like we earlier called out, Dave and Chris. And Pat Cummins really coming in at a record price of 20.5 crores, which was short lived.
Yeah.
For an hour later, we had Stark coming in at a even more higher price. So, Travis Head, I just want to call this one point out before you go, Chris. Um, David Warner, a former SRH captain, tried to congratulate Travis Head on Instagram, and we found out that he was blocked by Sunrisers' official account. And that's quite a shocker to me. Like, it just goes on to show what went wrong with Sunrisers in the previous 2 seasons with David Warner being in the team. It's definitely mismanagement, and maybe we do not know the full story yet, but definitely mismanagement of a player, and something went wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sunrisers love their own drama. Their own brand of drama is blocking people from
I mean,
Instagram and
it's
Twitter.
a team by the
Just
Sun Network after all. So entertainment has to be their priority.
no, it's shitty. It's teenage level drama. That is the problem I have. Like if you do not want a player, why did you even keep him? Like, you did not need to keep him last season. You kept him, then you kicked him out, then you blocked him from social media. He is your most successful captain. God damn, like, come on, have some respect for the guy.
Yep.
It's very
But
irritating when you see this sort of attitude from team owners, I would
even
like.
with Travis Head and the other pick being Pat Cummins, I still think Hasaranga has to be the buy of the auction, given the price at which they got him for. I know Travis Head
Yeah.
had steal is a steal at 7 crores, but it's still 7 crores. That's a lot of money. And Hasaranga, in his own right, is that somebody who can have the same kind of impact on the bowling side. And for them to get him at 1.5 crores is just insane. Just one of the many, many,
Yeah,
many balls blocked by
just
RCB before the season.
yeah, just like very. I think the scammiest of scams is Jadav Unadkat going for 1.6 crores and Vanindo Hasaranga going for 1.5 crores. Like, make that make sense. I do
So
not
I
see
think
any
the
sense in that,
see the
but
sense is very
all right.
obvious now. So it's the overseas slot. If IPL had one more overseas slot, similar to how they had in the Champions League T20, because Mumbai lobbied for it, Mumbai Indians lobbied for it and got it, you would see the auction strategy turn inside out for all the teams. Jade Unath is just poor man's Mitchell Stark. You don't have a lot of that Indian seamers who
He's
can do
not poor man's
stuff.
Mitchell Stark. He's Jaydev Unadkat is poor man's Dougie Bollinger. So I don't know. I don't know if you guys recall Dougie
I
Bollinger. He's
remember.
a touch figure out there in MP.
CSK.
He's a Melbourne MCG specialist, but then yeah, CSK, former CSK bowling
Yeah.
option.
So that was just a quick side note on why some of these guys uh, go for the price they go. It's obvious. It's just the
Yeah,
India versus
let's
slot
let's
issue.
finish with
the ga-
my favorite team,
The
the
ultimate
team I love
winners.
to laugh at, like constant entertainment, RCB.
so we have spoken already about Alzari Joseph. So moving on to the next teams. Okay,
Okay,
we're not
with
moving on.
all
Okay, let's.
Kamlesh really wants to move on from RCB, like.
and
Okay,
ironically,
I
if we
don't
had
blame him.
actually done that 10 years ago, he would have been a lot happier and needn't be spending
Yeah.
thousands in therapy every month during IPL.
Man, I tell you, this is one team I really cheered for with all my heart, other than Melbourne Stars in the BBL, who are probably behaving like they are the Punjab Kings of the BBL. And then you have, a team like RCB, who have everything that actually makes a winning team, but then they just throw it away in every season of IPL. But this time they don't even have a winning team. They gave up their bowling lineup. They got Alzari Joseph, they got Lockie Ferguson, and then who else do we have? Yash Dayal.
Yes, Dayal.
Gandalf,
Yeah,
you
and
sold four wheels of the car to buy lemon in the front for good luck.
They got the funniest thing is they got the wrong Karan brother for quite a bit of price. Tom Curran is a bowler who gets spanked anywhere he goes, and it's a very funny thing. It's a very RCB thing to do. They bought him, and immediately in the next couple of days he gets suspended from BBL for doing something very shitty, like just randomly trying to run in on the pitch when,
he
before the
was
match
trying
has
to
started.
intimidate. He was trying to intimidate,
Yeah,
probably an inexperienced domestic umpire who was officiating for the BBL. But that
he
was absolutely
badmouthed that umpire
ridiculous
as
behavior.
well,
Yeah,
and he got
and
suspended for 4 matches.
yeah, and if he goes at this rate,
Yeah,
I'm
so
afraid RCB may not even win the Fair Play Award this time. So, and I really didn't want someone like Tom Curran in the team,
so
but I don't know
funnily,
why they went for it.
I don't know. So this is the same IPL auction where Punjab Kings actually bought Shashank Singh, thinking that they were buying a different Shashank Singh. They literally messed up a player's name They wanted to buy a youngster under 25, and they ended up buying a 31-year-old who they had no clue who he was. And somehow RCB still has the accolades for having bought the player with the wrong surname in Tom Curran.
Wrong
but
first name, not wrong surname.
But folks, I'm actually looking at Saurav Chauhan, who's a batter, hearing great things about his strike rate and his ability. I hope the scouts have actually gone really well with him in terms of finding the right talent, and they will probably fit him well in the RCB batting lineup. That's my only hope. So I am banking on Saurav Chauhan to win the RCB, the IPL for the for this time. So I
See,
still will go with.
scoring
Yeah.
scoring runs has never been the problem for RCB, has it? It's defending. You guys will score 205 and you will let the other team chase it down in 15 overs. That is the
Okay,
issue.
let
It's
me put a
RCB.
nice. Let me just simulate it for you guys. We'll put a nice projection probably. First 10 overs, we have these power play bowlers bowl it out, and then first 6 overs, and then you follow until 10 overs. You give away 80, 90 runs, right? And then you have Virat Kohli and Glenn Maxwell coming in for the next 8 overs, uh, hardly giving away any run. So 8 overs, you just give away another 30 runs. So you are basically restricting the team at around 18, 17 overs times frame. You are restricting the opposition team to around, I would say, 140 odd. And then the last 2 overs are just lottery. So you just bank on it and not to give any more than 20, 30 runs. So we are trying to restrict teams to around 170, 180. That's going to be the winning strategy for RCB this time. Virat Kohli, Glenn Maxwell, they are the key to Australia,
Gandalf, comments
RCB's
on
bowling
this.
lineup. Sorry.
Gandalf, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face.
And then you become delusional.
Yeah, see, the
Love.
problem with having a dedicated IPL episode is that it might just turn every time it might just turn into a Khandal roast session than anything else. Simply because of the team he is supporting.
All right, guys. So we will have to bring this to a close. Amazing talk in terms of the best and the worst of the IPL auctions that we have seen this week. We may not have enough
Best
time
and the
for
RCB
covering
of
football
this IPL
and
auction.
the yeah, so we may not have enough time to cover the Euro Super League. That's the breakaway league in football. This time around, we'll do a special episode on that. But that's it for now. Enjoy the week that's coming up, and we will speak a lot more about cricket, football, and WWE in the next episode. Until then, see you all around. Bye bye.